The morning air hung heavy with silence outside the towering glass hospital in the middle of the city. It was just past 8 a.m. when Malik arrived barefoot and dusty, his small figure blending into the background of a place that had no room for boys like him. His faded shirt slid off one shoulder. His shorts were torn at the hem, and his stomach ached with hunger. He hadn't eaten since the day before. But hunger wasn't why he was here. For 3 long days, Malik had waited outside this hospital, watching, listening, invisible to everyone except the truth he carried. Something inside that building wasn't right. He had overheard things. Whispers near the supply room, conversations between nurses, a discharge being rushed, a patient who wasn't ready. This morning, Malik stood with his back pressed against a cold glass door, squinting as the sun pierced through the high-rise shadows. Doctors walked past him like he didn't exist. Nurses glanced his way and turned their heads. A guard had already told him once to move along. Malik had only nodded, pretending he didn't understand English. But then, the door hissed open again. This time, someone important stepped out. A tall man in a navy blue tailored suit, shoes shining like mirrors, leather briefcase in hand. His name echoed in television reports and magazine articles. Mr. Dalton Graves, a billionaire real estate mogul, owner of half the luxury buildings downtown. But today, he wasn't here for business. He had come to collect someone from inside the hospital. Someone the staff had rushed to prepare for his arrival. Malik's chest tightened. This was the man, the one they whispered about, the one they were trying to impress, the one they had lied to. And he was walking away, smiling, thinking everything was fine. Without thinking, Malik sprang forward. His bare feet slapped the polished floor as he ran through the hospital's automatic doors, his voice cutting through the morning air. "Don't go in," he shouted, his voice cracking. "Please, don't go in there." "Mr." Graves stopped, surprised. He turned slowly, brows furrowed. He saw a thin, dusty boy racing toward him, waving his arms. "What is this?" "Mr." Graves muttered. Malik didn't stop. He stood in front of the man, breathless, eyes wide with panic. "Sir, she's not okay. They lied. I heard them last night. They stopped her medicine. Please, don't take her home yet." "Mr." Graves blinked. A smile tugged at the corner of his mouth, polite but dismissive. "I was just inside." "Everything's fine," he said calmly. But Malik wasn't done. "I know. I was in the hallway. They said she isn't stable, that they just want the bed freed up. Please, you have to listen." Something in Malik's voice, clear, sincere, terrified, hit the billionaire like a sudden gust of wind. He didn't know why, but for the first time that morning, Mr. Graves hesitated, and that hesitation was the beginning of everything. Mr. Dalton Graves didn't notice the thin, barefoot boy running toward him. Not until a desperate voice cracked through the air. "Don't go in the hospital." The voice was high, raw, shaking. He turned, slightly startled. A dusty child in torn clothes stood near the glass entrance, eyes wide with panic, hand raised like a warning flag. Dalton blinked, confused. Then he laughed. Not unkindly, just like any rich man would laugh when a child says something strange. "I've just come from there," he said, adjusting his coat. "Everything's fine." But Malik didn't move. His voice rose again, firmer this time. "She's not okay. Please, they're lying to you." Dalton stopped mid-step. Malik looked up at him, face pale, breathing fast. "I was inside. I heard them near the storage room. The nurse said, she's unstable, but he'll never know if we clear her now. They're sending her home too early, because they want the bed empty by morning." Dalton's smile faded. "What did you just say?" "She's not ready. They stopped her medicine last night. They're only giving her fluids now. If you take her home, she might not survive the night." For a long moment, Mr. Graves just stared at the boy. His mind told him this was nonsense, a street child spinning a wild tale. But something deeper inside paused, because Malik's eyes didn't lie. Dalton finally asked, almost whispering, "Who are you?" Malik dropped his gaze. "My mom used to work here. She cleaned the night floors." They fired her when she started asking too many questions. She told me. People were being discharged when they shouldn't be. Dalton's throat tightened. Inside that hospital, the woman he'd come to discharge wasn't just anyone. It was Ms. Edith, his old housekeeper, the woman who had raised his daughter when his wife passed. He hadn't even gone up to see her. Too busy, too distracted. He had just signed the release forms. Malik stepped back, afraid he'd said too much. But Dalton turned without another word and rushed back inside. He passed the front desk. The receptionist called after him. But he didn't stop. Straight into the elevator, up to the 5th floor. As the doors opened, nurses looked up in shock. A doctor approached quickly. "Mr. Graves, we were just preparing." "Show me Edith." Dalton cut him off. The doctor hesitated. "Now." Behind the curtain, Edith lay pale, fragile. Her eyes shut. No monitors. No antibiotics. Just one bag of fluids, dripping slowly. Dalton's voice was cold. "She's not even conscious. And you were about to send her home?" No one answered. He pulled out his phone. Shut it down. All of it. He sat by Edith's bedside. For the first time in months, he stayed still. Sat. Part 3. He didn't leave her side. Dalton Graves didn't leave that hospital room. He sat there beside Edith, his old housekeeper, the woman who once fed his daughter, folded her clothes, calmed her nightmares. And now, here she was, pale, unconscious, barely breathing, a discarded patient, almost sent home to die quietly. His phone buzzed. He didn't look at it. He had meetings scheduled, contracts waiting, money on the line. None of it mattered now. All that mattered was that someone had lied. And if Malik, that dusty boy from outside, hadn't spoken up, she would have died under his name, with his signature on the papers. For 6 hours, Dalton didn't move. He sat in the plastic chair, one hand gently resting over Edith's. Her skin was cold, her lips dry. The machines beeped softly. Time blurred. Outside the room, nurses whispered. Some looked ashamed. Others avoided eye contact. They all knew. He knew, too. He had built hospitals, invested in them, but never really looked inside. Not until now. At last, Edith stirred, barely. A twitch in her fingers. A faint exhale. That was enough. Dalton stood, heart heavy, and left the room. Downstairs, Malik still sat by the planter near the hospital entrance. No one had given him food or water. He didn't ask. He just waited. When the doors finally slid open again and Dalton walked out, the boy stood up quickly, unsure of what to expect. But the man didn't yell. He didn't laugh. He just looked at the boy with a calm, changed face. "You were right," he said softly. Malik blinked, surprised. "Is she okay?" Dalton nodded. "She will be, thanks to you." There was a long pause. Then Dalton added, "I'm sorry for laughing, for ignoring you, and for being one of the many who see you and look away." Malik looked down. "It's okay. I'm used to it." Dalton knelt slightly, so their eyes were level. "No, it's not okay. A child shouldn't be used to being invisible." Then he asked, "Do you have someone waiting for you? A parent?" Malik hesitated. "No, sir. My mom used to clean here. She died last year. I've been on my own since." Dalton's jaw tightened. He saw a thin, worn child who had nothing. No shoes, no home, no one to watch over him. And still, the boy had risked everything for someone else. "I'm not sending you away," Dalton said firmly. "I'm calling someone I trust. But only if you let them help. If not, I'll stay with you until we figure it out. That's a promise." Malik's voice cracked. "You don't got to do all that." "I know," Dalton replied. "But I want to." 30 minutes later, a woman arrived at the hospital gates. Her name was Ms. Rhonda Alston, a social worker Dalton trusted deeply. She had worked on his previous charity projects, kind, smart, and strong. She knelt beside Malik and smiled gently. "Would you come with me just for night? Just somewhere warm and safe, until we talk more?" Malik hesitated. Years of rejection made it hard to trust, But then Dalton stepped forward and bent down. "She's good," he said softly. "I'll come check on you myself. I promise." That was enough. Malik gave a small nod. He left with Ms. Rhonda, not as a stray, but as a child finally seen. In the days that followed, Dalton didn't sit still. Behind the scenes, he launched a private investigation into the hospital's records, using his legal teams, quietly but relentlessly. What he found made his stomach twist. Elderly patients discharged too early. Vital treatments skipped to save money. Nurses pressured to stay silent. Lives turned into numbers. And his own signature had almost signed away Edith's life. Dalton bought the hospital, not for profit, but for change. He cleaned house, fired the corrupt, raised standards, and renamed the new foundation after her. The Edith Trust for dignity, for care, for people. As for Malik, he never returned to the streets. At first, he stayed in the children's home, where Ms. Rhonda visited him daily. Then Dalton did too. First weekly, then every day. And 3 months later, the adoption papers were signed. On his first morning in his new home, Malik came down the stairs and saw a pair of clean shoes by the door, a navy blue backpack with his name stitched on it, and Dalton Graves at the table, holding a plate of warm scrambled eggs and toast. "You okay?" Dalton asked gently. Malik nodded. "I'm not used to this." Dalton smiled. "That's okay. Neither was I." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Malik looked up and asked, "Why did you come back that day? Why did you believe me?" Dalton thought for a long moment. "Because no one else saw what I saw in your face," he said finally. "Not panic, not a lie, just truth. And I'd ignored truth for too long." Months later, Malik stood beside Dalton on the front steps of the hospital during the opening of the new recovery ward. Reporters asked what changed the heart of one of the city's toughest businessmen. Dalton simply answered, "A boy who had nothing, but still knew what was worth saving." Clapperboard if you were touched by this story. Don't forget to give a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, inspiring, and powerful real-life tales. Speech Balloon, tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing your stories too. Backhand index pointing right. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.